What's up, everybody? I'm Michael, the RLC for Poplar Hall, here at the University of South Florida, and this is Bored and Hungry. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Bored and Hungry. This is episode 1, and today I'm going to be covering the essentials that every kitchen needs. Now that's a little bit broad though, so let's break it down a little bit more. We're going to be talking about the utensils that you'll need, the spices in your spice rack, and the essentials for your pantry. Now, how many of you have ever gone into a store, make it a Walmart, a Target, or even a Home Goods, and you walk into the kitchen section and you are overwhelmed by all of those options? Which baking set do I need? Which knives and knife block is what I'm looking for? Well, let's break that down a little bit and take a look at what you need for your kitchen. The first thing we're going to talk about is knives. Now, knives might be the most essential item that every chef needs in their kitchen. And there are all sorts of knives. You walk into Bed Bath & Beyond, and there's knife blocks with 8 or 9 different knives in there that cost upwards of $100 or more. So how do you know which knives you need? Well, what if I told you that there are 3 knives that every chef needs and that's it? All right, so there are 3 knives that I like to talk about that every chef needs. The first is your chef's knife. It looks something like this. This is one example that I think a lot of people are familiar with. But they also look like this. This is just a different style of a chef knife, and they just can be used in different ways, especially with this one having these little dimples in it. It's great for cutting through tough things like potatoes. It gets air inside and cuts through really well. But those are basically interchangeable and just is your preference. The next is a paring knife. We've all seen this one before. A paring knife is great for doing small things like peeling, like this, or getting the core out of an apple, cutting off the tops of strawberries. That's what a paring knife is good for. And the serrated knife, because of its edge being different than a normal knife, is great for sawing through things like the tough skin of a tomato or through a loaf of bread. So with every knife, you need a good cutting board. There are all sorts of different kinds of cutting boards that you can buy based on your preferences. This one is my favorite, but I've got a bunch of other ones that I use as well. My mom got me this one, and it's a little bit fun, right? It's peppers, it's a little more flashy. You can get different colors, different types, sizes, and materials. There are wooden ones, plastic ones, rubber ones. There are all sorts that you can choose from based on what you like. So make sure you get yourself a good cutting board that will help you out with everything that you are cutting in your kitchen. So that is knives. The next thing that we'll talk about are all the other essential utensils that you'll need in your kitchen. Let's take a look. So these are, of course, in every kitchen. We've got measuring cups, we've got measuring spoons. When you're cooking, there's going to be a recipe, right, that tells you exactly how much of each spice that you need. And you can be precise, but you can add a little bit more, a little bit less, and get away with it. It won't ruin your dish too much. But when you're baking, that's a different story. That's a perfect mathematical equation. You don't want to mess it up, otherwise your cookies are going to come out a little bit differently. The next thing is our colander, or a strainer. This is when we are straining out pasta after it's been cooked in the water, or some vegetables. I like this one. This one's made of rubber, and it collapses in on itself. So that makes it really good for storing. It's nice and flat. Next thing are our spatulas, rubber spatulas and wooden spoons for stirring, using in a saute pan as you're mixing things around for eggs. Essentials that you need. We've got a whisk. You can make some homemade whipped cream. We gotta whisk our eggs together to get them scrambled. Gotta have a whisk. We've got our peeler for peeling fruits and vegetables. Of course, some tongs for flipping any items that we have on our saute pans or on the grill. Of course, can opener. You need a good can opener because there's canned food. And last, and maybe my favorite item that I've been using a lot recently, is this micro grater or a zester. So zesting limes, lemons, oranges into food, it really enhances your flavor. or of course grating cheese. Tastes delicious, melt it over the top of your food. All right, so now we're gonna talk about spices. Of course, everything gets seasoned with our salt back here and our pepper. We've got peppercorns and we've got our pre-ground black pepper. So I'll show you a little bit of everything to show you the differences. So I have two different kinds of salt, and here's why I have two different kinds of salt. This is coarse kosher salt, and this is your traditional table salt. And I have them poured out here. You probably can't see it too well, but the kosher salt is actually a little bit more coarse in bigger pieces, whereas the table salt is finer. The kosher salt is going to be really good for seasoning meats and putting a good crust on your meat, whereas the table salt is going to be better mixed into different recipes, into sauces, because it's just smaller and you won't have big bites of salt. And then I also said that I have peppercorns, which are the actual pepper balls, I guess, of black pepper, and the pre-ground, already ground black pepper that you would get on any table at a restaurant, and it comes in a little container like this. And why do I have both of those? With the pepper mill, right? This is the grinder that I would break down those peppercorns. Why do I have those? Well, I have those because when you grind this, it actually gives you different sizes of the black pepper. And it makes it's just more fresh. You're gonna be able to taste the black pepper, whereas the stuff that's already ground for you, you might not see as much, and that's good for mixed in. But it's also just convenient, right? This can save you money. It doesn't cost much, just like this won't cost you as much compared to the kosher salt. So do what's best for your budget. So that's salt and pepper. Now, I have all these other ones back here to show you, and these are the ones that I use all the time. I have other spices in my spice rack, but these are the ones that I use nearly every single week that I'm cooking in my kitchen. We've got paprika, we've got ground cumin, we've got onion powder. This big bad boy from Costco is our garlic powder, and we've got chili powder. These things are in my recipes. They are just things that I put onto any sort of sauteed vegetable, onto chicken, onto steaks. Cumin is really good for that taco seasoning with chili powder. Paprika is smoky, so that gives you a different profile. So you got to be careful with spices because spices can be really expensive. A little thing of cinnamon can cost $5 or more. So I have bigger ones because I know I'm going to use a lot of it. So I buy the big garlic powder in bulk to save me money. And you can buy the bigger ones at Publix, at Target, at Walmart. Maybe not the Costco size, but you can get bigger portions than just some of these or even the small spices in the stores. So those are the essentials that I have on my spice rack that I would recommend to anyone who is looking to stock up on their kitchen.